My sister is numb from it, hard for her to move and to try and move herself forward.
A sacred fire is lit in Winnipeg for the victims of a shooting over the weekend.
Somebody that will be able to bring all our nations together. We've been very divided in terms of the Assembly of First Nations.
Candidates for National Chief at the Assembly of First Nations meet with leadership in Winnipeg.
There used to be a time where everybody got music lessons in school, and that's just not the case anymore.
A music cafe in Calgary is raising funds to create scholarships for youth. Good evening and welcome to APTN National News. I'm Savannah Kelly. A sacred fire has been lit for two sisters killed in a Winnipeg shooting over the weekend that left 4 people dead. Plans are being made to lay the sisters to rest, but family members say the deaths have taken a toll on their home nation of Lake St. Martin First Nation. Tamara Pimentel has more.
Tobacco is offered while drummers gather to honor Crystal and Stephanie Beardy. They were among 4 victims killed in a Winnipeg shooting on Sunday. Their mother, Beverly Beardy, reeling from the loss of her daughters.
My sister is numb from it, hard for her to move and to try and move herself forward, but she has a big family that she has to keep pushing herself forward for. It's a big tragedy to all that are involved, not just my nieces. There was 3 other ones involved too.
Early Sunday morning, Winnipeg police responded to a call of 5 injured people consistent with gunshot wounds. Crystal and one of the men were pronounced deceased at the scene. Stephanie and 2 other victims were brought to hospital in critical condition. She, along with another man, succumbed to their injuries, and a 5th victim remains in critical condition. No arrests have been made, and while police told media all victims were known to police, Roberta Owen says her nieces should be remembered for having happy spirits and who are both mothers of 2.
They're not just people that got in trouble with the law. These are mothers, these were sisters, these were cousins, these were aunties. They're human just like anybody else, and they didn't deserve none of this. They have children too. They're not going to be able to parent their children now.
Lake St. Martin First Nation band councillor Brad Beardy says the community is mourning, but coming together to honor the sisters.
There's a big impact in Lake St. Martin, right? The mother, Beverly, works in our health center, and I know the ladies back home were getting things ready to do a fundraiser for the family for the funeral cost.
The family is asking for anyone with information to come forward to bring closure. Crystal and Stephanie Beardy will be laid to rest side by side in Winnipeg. Tamara Pimentel, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
Leadership from First Nations in Manitoba came to meet the possible future national chief today. Here's Sav Jonesa with more.
All 6 candidates running for Assembly of First Nations National Chief spoke at a forum held in Winnipeg today. Chiefs across Manitoba attended to hear their platforms and ask where each candidate stood on important issues. Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs Grand Chief Kathy Merrick was at the forum. She told APTN what she's looking for with her vote.
Somebody that will be able to bring all our nations together. We've been very divided in terms of the Assembly of First Nations. So the National Chief should be able to do that and should be able to speak about inherent and treaty rights, which are very important to our people.
Each candidate had 5 minutes to share their platform prior to the question period. Cindy Woodhouse says the next national chief needs a stronger voice federally.
They're always trying to push legislation on us, and that's fine, but talk to us first and make sure that it's actually co-developed and drafted with us in a good way.
Sheila North says the next AFN chief must make the organization relevant again.
I will bring back the organization that respects your treaty sovereignty, that stands up with you when you need to fight. I'll step aside when you need me to, but I'll speak up when I need to.
Dean Sayers had a focus on inherent rights.
We never gave up the right to manage the water. We never gave up the right to manage the forest. Those are our relatives. We never gave up those obligations.
Reginald Belrose's key priority was remote First Nations.
You should not be funded as Southern First Nations are. You have differences. That needs to be reflected in your funding when it comes to housing, mental health.
Craig Mackinac wants to get back to the original intent of the AFN.
We don't need the government to tell us what to do. We just got to follow through on what our elders tell us, and we just got to exercise our treaty inherent rights.
David Pratt believes the government took advantage of AFN's vacuum leadership.
What I propose to do when I'm national chief is to bring back that strong voice to the organization. Give the chiefs a voice around the table. You're the ones the organization was established for, chiefs.
Merrick says regardless of the outcome, it was nice to have everyone together. The AFN election is being held on December 6th. Sav Jonesa, APTN National News, Winnipeg.
We want to hear what you think about the upcoming election for National Chief. Here's how to continue the conversation. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, go to aptnnews.ca. You can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, previously known as Twitter. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A Quebec judge has found McGill University and Quebec's Infrastructure Society in violation of their settlement agreement with the Mohawk Mothers that was supposed to guide their search for possible unmarked graves. Amelia Fournier has more.
Judge Gregory Moore ruled McGill University and Quebec's Public Infrastructure Society, or SQI, need to rehire a panel of expert archaeologists to lead an investigation into possible unmarked burials on the site of the old Royal Victoria Hospital. Gahanta Netta said the ruling was a relief. She is one of the Mohawk mothers known as Ganastansara.
All we did was we used the truth, and that's all. That's all we have going for us. So, of course, we were hoping that that's what was going to stand up in court, was what we said. And that's exactly what happened.
McGill and SQI's hired archaeology company, Ethnoscope, was supposed to follow the recommendations of the panel of archaeologists during their digs on site. But since McGill and SQI dismissed the panel in July, the two institutions have been calling the shots. The Ganastansara said that this violated the settlement agreement they signed with McGill and SQI back in April, leading them to take McGill to court on October 27th.
We just want what we agreed to. We want fairness.
They got support from Special Interlocutor on Unmarked Graves Kimberly Murray and her legal representative Julian Falconer, who said the panel did not get to follow up on archaeological findings. The archaeology panel's report, submitted July 17th, included recommendations to manually search key areas and to allow the panel to analyze the reports from the ground-penetrating radar scans on the site.
We then had ground-penetrating radar done. A report that came out that showed that there were anomalies that were discovered. The expert panel did not get to look at that report, did not get to analyze the data, did not get an opportunity to make recommendations on the technique to the next step of the search. And they just went ahead and dug up the ground.
The minute the panel started making inconvenient recommendations that would slow down development, recommendations that would ask serious questions about the results of the cadaver dogs, they were fired.
McGill and SQI drew up the panel's contract without consulting the Ganastansara, which stipulated their mandate would be up after filing this final report. Falconer said this maneuver demonstrated a lack of good faith.
It's actually referred to in the nomenclature as a bait and switch, right? And the good news is the court wasn't in any way fooled by it. Neither were the Mohawk mothers.
While construction is allowed to continue on site, the judge's ruling, delivered November 20th, stated, quote, "The SQI and McGill must be guided by the panel's ongoing recommendations about how the search for unmarked graves is to be carried out."
I'm standing in front of the Hersey Pavilion where trained dogs detected the scent of human remains back in June. The source of the scent has never been determined, but construction has been underway on this site for months. The Mohawk mothers and cultural monitors say that the archaeological investigation into unmarked burials on this site has been sloppy and rushed.
In an email statement to APTN, McGill said Ethnoscope sifted through the piles unearthed around where dogs signaled the scent of human remains, quote, per the recommendation of the panel of archaeologists. And there hasn't been any evidence of unmarked graves unearthed on the grounds of the future New Vic project.
It's tedious work, but if you want to find things and, document things properly, that's the way you got to do it.
But cultural monitor Lloyd Benedict of Aguasasne says that in his 20 years working as an archaeologist, he's never seen archaeologists work like that. For one, the piles in question were moved to a parking lot to make way for construction.
It takes the context away from everything. Like, you're supposed to be layer by layer by layer, not digging it out in one big clump and putting it in a pile and then digging through there slow. I mean, they were sifting it at first. But then I just thought it was nothing like I'd ever seen before. I was not very impressed by the way they were handling it.
He says the SQI also rented a mechanical sifter typically used in mining to try to speed up the work on site, something Benedict says a university would never recommend.
Bringing in that auto sifter and just dumping what could possibly be human remains, just dumping it in there and having this thing shake and move. Like, we had talked about this when I was in university, and one student had brought it up. I said, why don't you just put it through this thing? He goes, well, who's watching, right? You're destroying material.
As of the airing of this report, McGill and SQI have told the Ganastansara that they are analyzing the judge's ruling, and the Ganastansara haven't received a response from them to write to the panel since.
We've asked McGill and SQI to maybe write a joint letter, and we've never heard back from them. So I assume that if we write to them, that it would be in effect. At least I hope that's what happens. If we don't get anybody working with us from the respondents, then we don't know what happens.
Emilia Fournier, APTN National News, Montreal.
A new report has found that more young Albertans in government care are being injured or killed than ever before.
These are absolutely necessary recommendations to put forward and at least acknowledge. If we don't change what we're doing, these numbers of youth and children dying in care is going to continue to climb.
A child and youth advocate report shows of 88 cases reported, 50 young people died last year while receiving child intervention services. Another 31 died who had previously received services. That includes independent living and foster care, and since 2019, that number has increased every year. Coming up after this short break, we speak with a fashion designer from BC making waves with her new collection. Welcome back to APTN National News. A fashion designer from British Columbia has just launched an everyday wear collection now being sold at Hudson's Bay. APTN's Tina House recently caught up with her.
Thank you. We're backstage right now at the Vancouver Indigenous Fashion Week with the one and only haymakerless Pam Baker. Pam, such an honor to be with you tonight. How are you feeling?
Great. I'm ready to go. My lineup's ready. I've done all my fittings, and I like being finale, so I'm pretty excited about it.
That's incredible. Look at this beautiful rack of your designs here. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the inspiration behind your beautiful line this year?
Yeah, I do. I'm starting off today with my Chilkat elements. When I design more of the elements. I never would really replicate one of my great-great-grandmother's pieces. So I start off with really nice flowing pieces, some pretty much ready to wear. This is going to come out soon. We have really cute little black dresses because I wanted to. Everybody needs a little black dress, right? I have a couple of. I got this art. I call it my artsy fartsy piece. It's something that I did in my studio. It took me a little time to put this one together. It's all. We braided it, stitched it, and the skirt's really fun, so I like that. Then we move into we got all the Chilkat elements everywhere, from these beautiful capes. This one's all hand painted, like every little element is painted. And so it took quite some time to do that. And it represents royalty, you know, like what you're wearing, it represents high-ranking royalty. So it's pretty exciting. And I've decided to show my transformation killer whale, because I showed it last year, but this year it's been in Vancouver Art Gallery, and I felt like a lot of people haven't seen it yet. Maybe 50% have, the other 50% it'll wow the crowd, so that's another thing I'm excited about again. And then, then I go into Spirits of the Universe, which is a painting I did some time ago. So we've got really beautiful sequins, and this coat it's the finale piece. And if you look at the bottom, my mother's peering out from the bottom. So a lot of my collections, inspiration came from her. A lot of my Kwagil side, I do my dad's side, who's Squamish, so I do a lot of Coast Salish, but a lot of my inspiration comes from potlatch, because I've been potlatching since I was 8 years old, and so it's a very key part of my life.
Wow, incredible. And as she mentioned, I am wearing one of her most beautiful pieces here. You mentioned this piece alone has traveled the world. Where has it been showcased before?
New York and Santa Fe. I wore it in Paris, so it's been in different places. It was in different museums, yeah. And it's also in the World Encyclopedia.
Incredible. Your career has just been amazing. I mean, you've been at this for quite a while now, and tell me about the Hudson's Bay and your partnership there.
Yeah, after last show here last year, they got in touch with me and said they'd like to have me in the store. What would it look like? So I said, yeah, of course I'm interested. So by the time we got around to it, I went to coach it in all-native basketball and came back and met with them. And then it took us pretty much all summer to get it together, because you have to do all the barcoding, the hang tags, go through this whole process. And I haven't done retail in ages, so, in a store. So we had to go through the process, and I think we were in the store September. So I'm pretty excited about it, and my ultimate goal is the more people supporting, the more we can produce, and that's what excites me, because I love doing new collections.
Incredible. We're so excited to see you walk down the catwalk tonight with your beautiful designs. Yay. Thank you so much for joining us.
Time to step aside for one more break. Coming up, we'll tell you about a fundraiser helping to raise money for music scholarships for youth.
There used to be a time where everybody got music lessons in school, and that's just not the case anymore.
Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. From Sydney, British Columbia, David Allen sent in this amazing shot of the calm waters under a slowly setting sun. Thanks for sharing that, David. If you would like to be featured as our next photo of the day, be sure to send your pictures to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting off on the east coast, 1 degree in St. John, 0 in Charlottetown. -6 and snowy in Nain, Kuujjuaq, sunshine, -18. Val-d'Or, snowy there, +1, Montreal, +6. Sault Ste. Marie, 4 degrees and snow, North Bay, +3. Timmins, 0 degrees and snowy there, Big Trout Lake, -13. Puckatawagan, snowy, -17, God's Lake, -14. Gimli, -3, mix of sun and cloud, Barons River, +1. Regina, sunshine, +1 there, North Battleford, +1 as well. Stony Rapids, snowy, -13, La Ronge, 0 degrees. In northern Alberta, -10 in Peace River, -7 in sunshine and high level. Red Deer, 0 degrees in sunshine, Medicine Hat, +1. Tofino, rainy, 7 degrees, Campbell River, +4. Prince George, -3 there, Smithers, snowy, 0 degrees. Watson Lake, sunshine, -16, Rock River, -6. Fort Simpson, sunshine, -13 there, Norman Wells, sunny and -10. Paulatuck, sunny, -11, Sax Harbor, -15. Baker Lake, snowy there, -12, Nauyet, -7. Iqaluit, snowy, +1, and Igloolik, 0 degrees. A Métis-owned music cafe in Calgary is raising funds to create scholarships to help underprivileged youth get into music. APTN's Chris Stewart was at a recent concert fundraiser.
The Cornerstone Music Cafe in Calgary has been helping teach music for over a decade. They offer lessons to every age group and skill level. Currently, they are raising money to start their first series of scholarships. Co-owner Sylvia Johnston is Métis. She says not everyone was fortunate like her to come from a very musical family. Just last year, she won the Queen's Platinum Jubilee Medal for her work in the community.
There used to be a time where everybody got music lessons in school, and that's just not the case anymore. And I do think it's a shame that only people that can afford that extra however much a month, have access to them.
Cornerstone is accepting donations, and this past weekend hosted 2 concert fundraisers.
We're hoping to have 3 different funds. We're actually hoping to have one for children that maybe don't have access to music lessons. We are hoping to have one to encourage kids to perform together. Having music lessons is one thing, but having an opportunity to play with other students is another. So we're hoping to have more access for kids that way. The other scholarship is actually for our teachers. So if any of our instructors are needing a little extra help financially, whether maybe they need to go on a trip somewhere or maybe they need to fix an instrument.
This night featured Little Brown Jug Brass Band and rising Métis country artist Ashley Ghostkeeper. Her song, Future Me, went to #1 on the Indigenous Top 40 earlier this month. She says she has a little bit of history at the cafe.
This is my 3rd time performing here, so they offer live music like during the summers, and so it's really cool that they've given me these opportunities to showcase my music and share my songs.
She says a fundraiser for scholarships will benefit youth who wouldn't normally have the opportunity to learn music.
It's an incredible idea, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. I think music is so important, especially in the youth, and instilling in that in kids and bringing music to them it's healing. So it's a really good thing that they're doing here.
Chris Stewart, APTN National News, Calgary.
And that's all the time we have here tonight on APTN National News. For news anytime or to see stories you may have missed, visit our website at aptnnews.ca. And as always, Marcy Miigwech, thank you for joining us. Take care and have a great night.